Good morning, everyone. The door is open. The door is open. If you are aware and you like to travel with your family or without, it would be a great time to make a trip over to Jerusalem and find a place near the Mount of Olives and wait. We're waiting now. We're in the golden age. Yeshua ben Joseph was born on 9/11 under 4 stars in 3 BC. A total eclipse of the sun, Jupiter, and Regulus. Mary and Joseph were on their way from Carmel, heading southeast to Qumran. Gabriel had spoken to both parents one pregnancy cycle earlier about them volunteering to become the mother and father of our brother, that man, the man with the divine feminine tendencies given to us and embodied in a woman. In this case, you can point to 2 Marys. One was his mother, and one was his wife, Mary Magdalene. He had 2 daughters. Sarah was an infant at the time of crucifixion, and his second daughter, Maya, was born in France. Sarah was not the healthiest young child. By intention, of course. She was given that job that we all have of managing negative energy. It was attracted to her. And she had difficulty. So it's stated that one of the things that her mom did, Mother Mary Magdalene, was to have Sarah participate in the washing of Maya as an infant. In Aramaic, the term creator, God, is Abwun. Ab meaning from, wound meaning womb, birth. You need the birthing object to begin. The birthing object must exist for it to begin. In this case, on that day, that conception from a pregnancy cycle earlier was complete, 9/11, 3 BC. The days lasted for days, according to his future teacher, Sudi, who was resident in the high self of a young girl, being guided by Dolores Cannon. back through her somnambulistic sequence of lives to be that boy. Speaking a little bit of Aramaic in this modern era to describe what must have been undescribable about 4 stars coming from 4 corners. I read that book and I said, 4 stars from 4 corners? That doesn't sound possible, but I believe there must be a truth because that boy said it and she heard it and she wrote it in the book. So I Googled it and I described the conjunction of that morning. And Maya's got a calendar, people. The Mayan Haab and 9/11/3 BC is day 0. If you enter an annual year of 3 weeks per month, it's 6 days per week, and you do that for 20 months, and you have some 5 lazy days at the end of the year in order to get to 9/11 again. It's from 6 to 10. 9, 10, 11. You're at a new Baktun. And it's exactly 400 Baktun to 2017, 11 September. And then add a tun a year and you're at 400.3. We are in the second coming window, guys. That's the Church of Christ right next to my house. My neighbor. The Church of Christ. Please, 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 guys. Think about those words. The Church of Christ. What is Christ? Start with that. Not so much who is Christ. What is Christ? Christ is a concept of behavior. It's a conspiracy theory. Being Christed. We're trained that only one man could have done that. Born of a virgin. He wasn't even put down here in a normal way. She said yes by herself and got pregnant by a divine will out of nowhere. And then we're expected to be his equal in that Roman version where Satan is the main object of what you need to be worried about because he's got the horns on his head and he doesn't exist. He's a fictional cartoon character illuminated by the church to make you scared. There is a true angel being called Lucifer who lives now, as he always has, as you have since your Immaculate Conception, which is the day your parents had you. So to be Christ, it's about love. We were born of one true Creator who loves us, who forgives us, who put us out here to learn innocently, as though we didn't ask for all the learning, but we did. We took the veil of forgetfulness. Everybody that's intended to be here, to be immortal. I'm not going to die, I've been saying it. And each day is so wonderful because of the challenge of being the best person you can, examining yourself, examining yourself, examining how to be in unity with others. to make it absolutely individually free so that every person can do what they would like to do as an equal right, freely, knowing that if there is error, we know how to fix it. We know how to fix the problem and the person by loving them, to get them to see where they may have made a left decision when they should have gone right. We're moving forward and we're making decisions. And when we do them together, we're going to bring new earth. No government, no passports, no need to prove who you are, your identity. You know who you are. You're never going to tell an untruth because you've got no reason to hide anything. You've got no shame. You've got no fear. Can you imagine a world like that where you have nothing to worry about? Tesla will bring free technology. David Wilcock has quantum information in his head as he learns more about what he needs to eliminate from his belief system. He thinks a lot of Donald John Trump. Many do. I was born to be a few years behind him. Everybody must have chosen when they came in. When you replay how we are and who is allowing you to learn, the answer is you at the high self level. Your high self is behind a lot of this. So as you wake up and you say, how could I possibly have ever gotten to where I could have been right now unless everybody else was there to help me? And the answer is, had you been all by yourself out in the middle of nowhere, you would have gotten where you needed to go. If you're a good person, you would have known that it is a destiny. You're there in the first place for a reason. And then, when you accept that, our Creator never abandons us. In the case of a woman named Guan Yin, who is like Buddha in that the way that a Buddhist perceives life is that you keep coming down and playing roles, and you keep being the one on one side and the one on the other side in the story. The story has morals and meaning. They've really lived them in sequential lives. And I had learned about Guan Yin from Nusra Sahin. Out of not even know she existed, I was led to the ideas of authenticity and compassion. Then I read the Sophia Code, and I was introduced to Guan Yin again, having been under the impression that she had discerned the mantra Dade Tu Dade Ture Soha, not that one primarily. Mani Padme Hum is attributed to her, as it should be, but she learned it from Tara. And she learned her ability to stand on her own 2 feet and to trust herself from a male counterpart named Baba G, who came to dwell with her and stayed away and allowed his vibrational feelings to be there to let her know, I'm with you, I'm here. When you're ready to move, I'll help you do that. And if you follow my example, you'll be God. And she did, and she is, as are we. It has to do with water, giving it up and floating, laying down on water and floating upon the water. The Spirit dwelled upon the water. At first density, fourth octave, that's fire, that's your heart. At second density, fourth octave, it's water-borne insects in the insect class. Then at third density, it's your heart. At fourth density, it's your heart. You pass on, you die. Then you beat again and you realize, I'm still here, because everything is still working. Your heart is thinking, your mind is quantum, and now it's time to continue learning. Up until that moment, you had no idea and you were going to die. Then, just because of new information about who you really are, that your heart's 4.1, it's a new density and a new scale of 7. But in this case, it's all you. It's not a complete sector. Elements is a sector. Plants and animals and seeds are a sector. And then it's us. The sector of 1. 7 chakra. Red is Uranus. How do you feel about being here? You okay with yourself? Can you handle it on your own? Orange, your sacral chakra. How do you feel about others? Emotionally. The opposite sex, your sex. Those that you should be interoperating with. Do you like them? Given your own feelings about you in the first place, are you set up to interface with others to a point where you can help both yourself and them? So that's emotional. It's orange. Then come your lungs, yellow. Are you competitive? Do you wake up and just want to get as much as you can accomplish, because there's only so many hours in a day, and by God, there ain't enough to get. So in that personal aspiration of zeal for your day, what's it all about? You know, the same act of having a lot of money and using it for a purpose is another interesting topic, as it turns out, because Yeshua said it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than a camel to get through the eye of a needle. So the reader would come away saying, man, I better get rid of everything and just live by the seat of my pants. And that's a true statement. You can't go wrong that way. It's meant to be, to share everything. These foundations will all be distributed. But there's also abundance, that there are big houses and there are big boats that somebody needs to say, okay, here's what we're going to do with the boat. It's a monstrous boat, and everybody's looking at that person. Yes, sir, about your boat that we all party on. What about it? But it's your boat. You're the proverbial king. You're the baron, the czar, the one on top, the diva, the titan. You have abundance. You're the good king. Every day is a party in your kingdom. You put it out there on your festival of interface, and it's the king. As you float by and say some things and listen to some things and go, oh, you're really an equal, but you're a king. Would that king be loved? Would he be a good single ruler? Is he lazy and visionary? Or is he aggressive and busy? Is that a smart leader? who gets to age 67 and has been retired for 2 years, and he and his wife have finally gotten to Winnebago and they're on their way, and the poor man just stops living. So, in closing, he was a scene. There was a quarter to the temple. Mary spoke Aramaic. His great uncle Joseph spoke Aramaic. He ran the Sanhedrin. That family was born into the middle of the agricultural abundance and meat season of the Second Temple. That complex was very convoluted inside those walls. It still is. It's an analogy of you. You know, the Aramaic being imprinted upon Jerusalem is ironically like the orange that's imprinted upon Northern Ireland, if you wish to look at it that way. Ireland is one big place, and I'm over any country-based motivation to die. Patriot Games is such a song. And it turns out that you can at least look back with less shame about what you may have done familial if you liked the Irish Republican Army for its aspiration of freedom. And the one man that they got, that they claim is their hit, was a cannibal named Mountbatten, related to Andrew and Philip and the Queen and Charles, and they're cannibals. There are black people who are cannibals, and there are white ones. It's actually done for scientific purposes, for nutritional value. The blood is excited when it's scared to protect itself. But the one causing it, should they be aware of this phenomenon, can consume it and derive sick benefit from it as a reward for killing and eating another human. Whether it's in ritual or out in the middle of Apache land when it may have had a greater level of justification, which it shouldn't. But if you're opposed and the conditions relate to you being unjustifiably hurt because they've killed a family member or whatever, they know how to take care of it. And Lucifer taught man, when he got his chance to get down here and get face to face from the Bureau, Lucifer's got some explaining to do. Lucy! And I hope Lucifer, certainly, there'd be no excuse from his observatory, both as the governor of Jupiter and then governing the Bureau and the ride of NIB, to learn a lot, to crossbred all the types of humans that are here, watch them drop. Noah's Ark is circular and it grows with all the various human animals that are dropping back in. And man, you take a look at a human being and you got a little bit of the Bronx Zoo going on, whether it's a reptile, an insect, a lion, or a bigot. Cheney, look at him. Rick Scott, he's Caligula. Put one eye on him, make him Goliath. I don't wish to be too funny. We need to love everybody. Everybody learns to forgive themselves and tell the truth. The shame goes away and we continue. That's why I'm a proponent of waterboarding as a temporary method to take care of business. Because if a person refuses to tell the truth and everybody else knows it, let's say there's a percentage that just refuse to believe it, but once they know, they're forced. If I tell you that George H.W. Bush was a cannibal, you're going to laugh. If Joseph McMoneagle tells you that from a remote viewing session, you might laugh a little bit less. When you learn all the details of bloodlines and family members and Prescott Bush and Vannevar Bush and technology and darkness and our choosing the veil of forgetfulness to try and figure this out in one lifetime, as this enlightenment permeates your being and you realize that you can stay here forever by eating the right food, loving your neighbor, and knowing that you have a creator that lives in you, literally, Abun. That is the question. How did that first vibration happen? We'll come to know because it matters. Matter. First density, first octave is an angstrom measurement. Aurora borealis, everywhere. 1.2 is another measurement. It's protons, neutrons, and electrons in every shape and form by atomic number. How are they formed? Wind and fire, 3 and 4. And then there's the water. Let's leave it right there at 5. That's our throat in the case of our bodies. But the water contains elements and can be contained within. And at the wedding feast in Cana, when he thanked that water and crystallized it and shared it with the attendees, to include Count Saint Germain, who must be given credit for his ability to get where he needed to go, much like Buddha and Guan Yin, but with a Western flair that included a little more, from our standpoint, a little more insight as to where he was going and why. He dropped in at that wedding feast. He posed with Helen Blavatsky and some other ascended masters in Russia. And he was awarded or is associated with his ability to tap into those 12 stars at your 7th chakra. That's a gateway to higher awareness, interplanetary, galactic, universal. Lambda is 6th dimension. Lambda is a force that holds everything together. I just mentioned first density through 5. How is matter charged to identify itself with another piece of matter? In this case, it's called lambda. There's no instruments for it. And the analogy of lambda and holding it together is another one that you could write a paper on and it would keep going. About us. It's so beautiful. We're everything. And I'd like to conclude by telling you guys that I was Billy the Kid. Imagine knowing that you have a museum after you and it's not even, it's you, but it's not you. I have potential land claims. What is reincarnation law? You were somebody special or you wouldn't be here. You'll find out that in some period of time, you were it. You'll be like, I was the head facilitator of that? How could I have counted all that? Well, you were on a planet counting a million years earlier, and man, you did okay there. They let you go to the next life. Maybe you had to count some more. Maybe you got left back, and you had to do it again. And you just keep going until you get ready and you drop in here. Because of all your decisions, you're in this life, this mad world, which is got a little bit of everything. I could explain it, but I won't be here all day. And so, if my hair's out of place, so be it. If you feel the need to not like me, that's your choice. If you feel the need to like me, that's great. I need that because I it confirms for me that I'm doing something right because I want you to like me. You know, when people don't feel liked, they feel terrible if they're fucked up. if you're not fucked up and people don't like you, you know, F is a word. It's a letter. But it doesn't need to be that way. So, imparting. I love Dolores Cannon. I love all women. There's a young woman, she's younger than me, named Suzanne Spooner, who took the time to count votes of clients who submitted reports. You know, when you complete a QHT session, you send in a report to Huntsville Central so that you can proceed and progress and be accounted for in your skill set as a guide. So Miss Spooner took the time to look at those reports and I guess talk to some people and figure out what are the top 5 things that high self are telling their clients. So it's a list, and she reduced it to 5. Meditate, drink water, forgive yourself, be fearless, and be happy. And you can discern all 5 of those things, and happiness will be had. So continue on your path for yourself and others, because we're here. 400.3, count the kin. A ton is 30 days. And 5 days that come out to be the clockwork of repetition by number are 5, 11, 17, 23, and 29. It's wonderful. I'm not 5'11". I'm 5'6". Which way you going? I love everybody. I hope you know that. Stare at the sun and be life. Peace.